What's up, everyone? Yes, it is I, your host, Natalie Morrison, and you might be thinking, wasn't this called Swim Masters? Well, yes, it was, and you're definitely in the right place. We decided that we wanted to give the podcast a bit of a makeover, and we're so proud to introduce to you ReVoicing the Future, a Women of NAMM podcast. Don't worry, it's still the same content, still the same hosts. We just wanted to take this to the next level. And we're excited that you're joining us on this fantastic journey. The episode that you're currently listening to was recorded before the name change. And I just wanted to let you know that you are in the right spot. So keep on listening. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for all new episodes of ReVoicing the Future, a Women of NAMM podcast, coming soon.
Welcome to Swim Masters, a podcast dedicated to help connect, grow, and support women in the music products industry. I am your host, Natalie Morrison. The Smart Women in Music Fund was established in 2018 by Robin Walenta, Dee Dee Hyde, and Crystal Morris to expand diversity, inclusion, and support for women in the music products space. Twice a month, I will sit down and host virtual conversations with various women across our industry to help foster mentorship and growth. Now, without further ado, let's dive in.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Swim Masters. I'm your host, Natalie Morrison, and I'm with my trusty co-host, Stephanie Lamond.
Woohoo! I'm here. I feel like I say that every time you introduce me. I'm
You
like,
do, but I have you noticed too that when I intro you, I'm like Stephanie Lamond. It's like
yeah. We need to branch out, or we don't. Maybe that's like the theme. Maybe
I think that's
memorable.
our thing. Let's look at my shtick. I'm just excited to have you here.
Excited to be here. Very excited to be here on this auspicious, almost International Women's Day. Lead up to International Women's Day. Week prior to International Women's Day.
Technically, March is Women's History Month, so happy Women's History Month.
Woohoo!
So I wanted to plug an event that Swim is hosting on International Women's Day, which is on Monday, March 8th, right? We're in March. Yeah, we're in March. I can't believe it. So on Monday, March 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern, Swim is hosting a virtual networking and educational event focused around the theme for International Women's Day, Choose to Challenge. And the event will be hosted by featured speaker and entrepreneur Lisa Cruz. So if you want to choose to challenge one another, to take your personal brand to new strides, to get together to celebrate achievements, and to educate and empower one another while increasing visibility to the value that women bring to the music products industry, check out our website to register, and we hope to see you there because it's going to be very exciting.
Woohoo! What a powerhouse event that sounds like that's shaping up to be.
I
That's
know.
tight.
That was a mouthful too.
I know. Delivered it fabulously. That was perfect.
Thanks.
And we're also going to be putting out a special little International Women's Day episode where we're just going to talk to each other. We're still figuring out whether it's going to be based on that theme or just us talking about our own careers, maybe in reflection of that. We always talk to other people, but I don't know. Maybe it's helpful to hear where we're coming from as well as we interview all these people. Our lens is important, I suppose. So tune in on International Women's Day. We're going to have a little bonus episode. Is the word I was looking for.
I don't want to say limited edition because it's not like it's going away. It's going to live here forever.
Yeah.
Bonus.
A little gimme. A little perk. A perk.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. It's going to be, whatever it is, it's going to be
exactly.
Great. It's going to be
fun. But in the meantime,
it'll be more of what you're hearing right now.
If you enjoy our banter,
you'll get a whole lot more of it.
A whole lot more of it.
And And I got that segue there. So in the meantime, today you are going to hear from an absolutely fantastic woman in the music products industry. We're going to be hearing from Laura Davidson, whose title, she's the lead retail market development specialist at Shure Incorporated, Shure microphones. And she's amazing. So she's also that, but she began her career as a songwriter, producer, in and out of studios. She was in the Nashville scene and then transitioned smoothly, way more smoothly than I even anticipated. It was so fun to talk to her about this, into the business side. And yeah, as someone who's trying to balance, and Natalie too, balancing our creative sides with our business sides, this was a very personally interesting conversation to me. So yeah, hope y'all dig it. She's just, and she's so funny. I just love talking to Laura. She's so cool.
I know. I loved it. It was a blast.
Like, we talk about our first jobs and stuff, and it's cool. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a fun episode. And I love whenever Natalie welcomes me back as in the little co-host chair. So
Of course.
it was fun.
You're always welcome.
Thanks.
But you have this episode to listen to. You have the International Women's Day event on Monday, March 8th at 6 p.m.
Woo!
to sign up for. And you have a little bonus episode to look forward to next week. It's a whole lot of Swim Masters coming in your way.
Enjoy. And thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, we'll talk to you. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Bye. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for joining Swim Masters. We are so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is really kind of cool.
Thanks.
It is, isn't it?
You know? Well, I mean, like, people ask me to be on podcasts. I'm like, why? I mean, cool. So this is awesome.
That's how we feel whenever anyone wants to talk to us on a podcast. Like, wow.
Neato. Yeah, it's great. It's so fun.
Well, the reason that we want to have you on the podcast is that you have such an interesting career journey, and I'm curious to learn how you got your start in the industry and how you made your way to Shure.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if it's an interesting journey. It's how it just happened. No, so I went to Berklee College of Music a long time ago, and when I graduated, I went out to Nashville and decided to not starve to death by moving to New York or LA and try to be a singer-songwriter. And it was a lot more affordable then. So I went there and I did that and I loved it. But I got asked to do a NAMM show. I got asked to demonstrate this cool new vocal harmonizer for a company called TC Helicon. They wanted a woman demonstrator. I was like,
wow,
what a concept.
We have this great idea. Let's use a woman. So no, they weren't like that. The company it was lovely. But yeah, so I did a NAMM show. This was, I think, 2006. And I just fell in love with gear. And I had always enjoyed the technical side of things, but it turned out that I had a passion for showing people how to use gear and how to make their musical ideas come to life. And so then I started working for them as a product specialist, aka demonstrator. Turned into their marketing manager, and then changed paths 10 years in. For a couple of years, took a break from the industry, and then got a Facebook message of all things from one of my old friends from that company. He was a rep at the time for us, and he said, "Hey, I'm at Shure now. This job just opened up for a market development specialist." I was like, "What the heck is that?" And so I read the description. I was like, "That's me." And here I am, and it's been just over 3 years.
Wow.
That's so amazing.
That's awesome.
And that's fascinating, because I don't know, in kind of researching what we were gonna ask you and grill you about too. It was, so that sounds like it was kind of a I don't know. Initially I thought it was more of like a cut and dry transition from like the creative studio songwriter side of it to the business side, but it sounds like it was very like gradual.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. They kind of, at Helicon, they kind of liked the fact that I was a singer-songwriter. because it lended. I still am a singer-songwriter, by the way. She didn't die.
Yeah.
So, but like it was kind of a thing that was cool because then there was credibility to demonstrating the product where you weren't just like someone who worked for the company, you were someone who used it in your everyday life. So I was still able to tour during that job. I toured with Howard Jones as a background singer and went to Australia and Japan because of that product, which was
Wow.
insane. So he heard me sing and demonstrate it and said, "Well, I can pay her to come with me and she can be 4 background singers in one. Plus, it's also cutting edge and cool to have somebody triggering these harmonies in real time." And because he always likes to evolve and change his set. So yeah, it led to tours all over the place and then that job transitioning more to the business side, which has been great.
That's so cool.
That's
And
wow.
was that hard as it was happening, or like, or easy? Because I feel like I'm kind of doing that backwards. I feel like, where I'm an artist but started in the business side, and I'm trying to now do more of the artist stuff. But like, I feel like there's this push and pull between your business brain that one doesn't want to starve, right? But like also loves the business that you're doing, but is also that creative. So like, was there what was that transition like as it was happening, and like what was like going on in your head as you were weighing these different avenues that you were doing?
Well, I think a couple of things made it a little bit more smooth of a transition. One of them being that I have 2 kids and
Mm.
that didn't happen all at once. And
Yeah.
so I remember thinking like, you hear about our biological clocks, right? As women, it's like, oh, the biological clock. And I was like, whatever. Yeah, we'll have kids. And then one morning I literally woke up and I was like, yeah, I'm going to need a baby like right now. And
Wow.
my husband was like, what? So
Okay.
all right, and that kind of made the changeover and the progression a lot easier to take from a creator going into more of a business role because
Yeah.
that my job was naturally progressing towards more responsibility. I had done some really cool tours. I knew that Howard wasn't gonna keep me around if I had kids. That's just kind of like how he rolls. And so I knew that like this is going to be the time when I change over. But throughout, my music has always been there and it has always kind of continued. And it only started happening when I turned 40. That people were like, "Oh, are you still doing music?"
Oh.
Oh, you're still doing that? Oh, you still did that's great. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't go away. So it wasn't as much of a thing where it was painful or tricky. It just kind of happened in a really natural way that I was ready for. But if I had been forced into it, it would have been a totally different experience, I
Yeah,
think.
that's beautiful. It just sounds like, I really admire it. It sounds like it's very grounded, or how you thought about that is very grounded in terms of like, I don't know, like you sound like you just know who you are in terms of you're a creative. Like you're not having to prove that at all. And so
No,
that probably helped a
sometimes.
lot in terms of like, I don't know. But yeah, like you weren't your job didn't define your identity as a creator and as an
Oh
artist.
yeah. Yeah,
That's really
that's
beautiful.
definitely true. And it thanks. And it's also something that at Shure that I love about this company is that they really embrace that. Like all of us are musicians or most of us. So, we're encouraged to participate and bring that creativity and um yeah, it's celebrated. So I've never had to really turn it off, which is
And I
great.
think
What a goal. That's awesome.
I think it's important for our listeners to hear this type of journey too, because it reassures to them that, oh, I can still make music, but also have an awesome job like full time. So I think this is definitely relatable.
Mhm.
Well, and it's also, I mean, I was doing this, like I said, 2006 is when I started in this crazy industry, and things were really different then.
Yeah.
Now, with all the propensity towards podcasting and streaming and everything, like you can really do this when you want to do it. Now, I still think there's I think it's even more complicated in a lot of ways for artists who are trying to make it because there are so many avenues you can pursue. And it's like,
Mhm.
which path do you choose? I can't answer that, but all I can say is like go where your people are.
Mm.
So, my friends joke with me, my younger friends, cuz my people are on Facebook. So that's where I go when I want to announce new music or talk about music or talk about new projects, that's where I go. And my sister, who's older than I am, is like, that's so lame. I'm like, well,
Oh my God.
again, go where your people are. Why would I try to go to Insta or YouTube or TikTok, for Christ's sake? And people would be like, what is this lady doing on here? So I don't know.
Throw Clubhouse
That's
into
my
that
one piece of
mix.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Clubhouse. I just got on Clubhouse. I haven't found my club within the Clubhouse.
Me neither.
I'm still searching for it.
I know, I am
It's
too.
not presented itself. Are you all in there and you think like, am I really muted? Like that's my
Oh,
fear.
that's my fear. I have that fear in just meetings in general. I'm like, I always double checking, like, am I muted?
Oh yeah. 100%. That's like my day is just Teams meetings back to back to back.
Yes.
And I'm like, if I'm ever doing one in the car, I'm like, am I muted? Am I really, really muted? Yeah. But yeah, Clubhouse, I'm failing epically at that. I get in there, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm so hip. I'm going to check it out. And I get in there, I'm like, these people are just talking. Like, what is going on? I need to study it more. I need to find my house.
Find your people.
Yes. Find my people.
Steph, is it
That's what I
my
need.
turn? Sorry, I'm like confused as to where we are in our
Yeah,
questions.
no, I think so. We took kind of like a deviation, but I loved it. I think
Who has the stick? Who gets to talk?
I'm passing the conch to you. I think it's time.
Brilliant.
She just asked the question very differently, and I was like, I think we covered this. Let me just make sure.
I'm deviating. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
It's all good.
what advice would you give to someone who might be interested in similarly transitioning to the creative side from a manufacturer, retailer, or vice versa?
Well, honestly, like if you're going to go into the creative side, I would hope that you would have kind of started that a little bit and like forgot about it for a minute and you're picking it back up. I think it'd be really hard to go straight from the business side into that, but that's just because I'm a creator. So I'm going to suck at giving that advice. But going from a business person, like someone who walked away from it or kind of got a little distracted or whatever, I'll say that it's easy enough to get back into it when you find your inspiration.
Right.
So take that inspiration as it comes. Typically mine hits me like in the car, driving to the airport whenever we start doing that again, or in the shower, and you just have to like grab it and hold it and get it down somehow, because if you don't, that's gone. It's gone. So, I don't know if that answers the question, but if you're trying to get into the creative side, maybe it's not being the actual creator, maybe it's supporting a creator. Maybe you have skills that could like advance the crazy creator type who can't get out of their own way, like me, or can't promote themselves. Like that could be your niche or your skill.
That's really interesting. And I've said this so many times, but I always felt that I went to Ithaca and I was in the music school as a minor, but I always noticed that like the performance majors, they weren't prepared about the other little things that they need to know about how to market themselves and all this stuff. And I always felt like, why doesn't the school have some sort of like how to market yourself 101 kind of class?
Yep.
So I'm such a huge proponent of that because it's so important. Even if you can't do it all yourself, it's important for you to know that that's something that needs to be done.
Yes, I totally agree. I don't know what Berklee's doing these days, but I know when I was there, I did a major called professional music, which is kind of like the liberal arts of music school or performance, because you have to design your own major or choose your own adventure. So like, for example, you could do a whole semester where you focus on the business side, which is what I did. I had a music business semester. I had a music production and engineering section. I had a performance section. And then I grew up enough to graduate and then not have a piece of paper that's like, I can sing. See? So it made me a little more prepared, but you're right. If I hadn't done that, if I had just done performance, not a lot of skills life skills.
Was there anything specific skill-wise, speaking of skills, you felt was easily translatable between industries that someone could use to help in self-promo for the job hunt? Also factoring the fact that we're now in like the COVID era job market.
Yeah. Honestly, you have to know what your strengths are, and that takes time. That's not something that you're going to just know right off the bat, and it takes trial and error. But if you know that you have strong presentation skills, that's a highly marketable skill that not every person has. And maybe you need a little work in strategy. I know I definitely did. When I left TC Helicon, I took 2 years off and worked for an agency here in town called Drink Caffeine, which was like a web production or web design company and a marketing firm. And it gave me so many other skills that I wasn't accustomed to, where it was project management, customer service, campaign design, social media management. And I thought I knew all the things, So then I got there and I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And then I took that and pivoted that back into the music industry and working for Shure, where now I work more on strategy and things like that. But you have to know what your strength is. So ask your friends, like, what am I good at? When you think of me, what am I good at and what am I bad at? And maybe start from there and then look inside and go from there.
That's awesome. That's such good advice.
Oh my gosh. I always ask my friends, I'm like, what is something that sets me apart from other people? They're like, are you really asking me that, Natalie? I'm like, why?
It's for professional development.
Yes. I mean, it's really hard to ask people
Help
that
me.
too. Yeah. Like, tell me about me. And people are like, what? But yeah, it's totally valid to say, I'm trying to market myself. I think I'm good at this. And then your friends will be like, no. Or maybe, yeah, totally. That's what you're great at. You make the best guacamole. How can you market that? Or something like that. So you'll get surprising answers, some that maybe you don't like and some that maybe you do. But I think that's the only way to grow, is to get outside of your head for a minute if you can.
I agree.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably helpful to find friends too, if you're depending on which area of the industry you're trying to hop around in, that are in that too, and ask them like ask them that question. Like, what do you see of my career, whether it's creative or whether it's business, that you think people on your side really would value? Because like, you don't know if you haven't been in it.
That's
So
true.
I would imagine that's probably helpful too.
Yeah, and you got to find those people, those voices that you trust. And now it's even easier with things like Clubhouse. You can find like really important voices that you trust that maybe you could have that
Yeah.
conversation with. And that's what I think is so cool about Clubhouse. I just haven't found those people yet. But Ashton Kutcher was on one. And I almost raised my hand, but I didn't. So, What's up, Ashton? Yeah, I just think it's so trippy that you can get in there and like have a convo with Oprah. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
What a dream.
I know, right? She just like popped in, I think, too. But yeah, so find those people that you really admire and don't be afraid to ask them how they're doing what you think is so cool, because people love talking about themselves and they'll probably be willing to share their wisdom with you.
Totally. Well, and also on that vein, takes me to my next question, as just a personal
Oh, boy.
question. What
No.
like personal for me. So like we already kind of touched on this, because it seems like you again are just very wonderfully grounded in your identity as a creator and stuff, but like, how do you balance your job and your creative work and all of the projects and stuff? So like, is there a secret you have? Are you balancing it? Are you just kind of like doing it as it comes? Like, how does that work
Yeah.
in your world? And so that we might learn from you.
Oh, good Lord. Well, I don't have a system. Honestly, it's just a lot of teamwork amongst my family team members, where, like, for example, my husband took our new dog for a long hike on Sunday, yesterday. And my kids went to his mom's house, their grandmother's house, and decorated the cutest Valentine's cookies ever.
Oh.
And I had like 2 or 3 hours to myself. And that's what I've found, that I just have to say, mama needs some time to make some noise, and everybody has to get out of the house. Like, I can't create, because my studio's in a bonus room above the garage, which is just down the hall from the bedrooms. It's not soundproof. So I'll either carve out chunks in my day where I have, like, a break, or everyone has to get out of the house and then I'll create. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes the muse just hits and I'm like, everybody leave me alone. I have to do this right now.
Well, that's what I was. I'm in this music. We call it like a stand up of a group of friends I have. They're mostly like singer songwriters, but we text each other every Monday of like goals that we have for the week, just so we can then check in the
Love
next week
it.
and be like, "Are we?
I
Did we do
love
our
that.
goals? No." One
What?
of our
Oh my
goals
God,
was
I
like,
need that
"Be
group.
chill." Yeah, if you want to join, we got you. But
Oh my
one of the
God.
women is this. She's got a toddler, and she's her. She was saying that she's now changing her goals to just because she's like, in COVID, my whole life is just like, I used to have time to myself. Now I don't have any. And so
Yeah.
her now goal is to like make one song a month that she'll release on Patreon. And it's like, it's just whatever she can write when her kid is napping. And so I was like, no, that's
Mhm.
fun. Like you market that as like it's packaged. These are like the nap time songs. Like this is just what
Yeah.
came out, and
The
like
nap time
you roll
songs.
with it.
Yes.
And I don't know. That just reminded me like that I just bow before because right, I think of that and I'm like, this is hard to balance day job and that, but like you're having to project manage also your family life to be creative. So that is endlessly inspiring that I don't know, you just do it. You just roll with it and you make it work.
Well, yeah, we make it work. The mom guilt is very real,
Yeah.
I will tell you. When I take time for myself, I'm like, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing this." And then I put my headphones on and 3 hours goes by and I'm like, "What?" So, you have to. It's self-care at its most basic level, because we are all getting a lot of togetherness time,
Yeah.
And so it's nice to just have a time to breathe, and going to the grocery store does not fill that need. So, yeah, that's how I'm doing it right now. We'll see.
This reminds me of that. I think it was a New York Times article. I don't remember. Some news outlet had an article about the mother in the pandemic, or like the working mother in the pandemic. And it was very eye opening and sad too, because we're all working, but a lot of people are mothers as well. And just like balancing the two while just staying at home and not being able to go out and kind of separate the two, it's difficult for a lot of people.
Hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, my kids are right downstairs right now, but I feel guilty doing this because they've been at school all day, and I had to run some errands, and like, so I'm not having any time with them today. But like, they're fine. We're making it all work. But yeah, it's a lot.
I like
It's
the
a lot.
idea too of like you let yourself feel it and then you just go on. Like you don't wallow in it. I think that's kind of the secret. You're
Yeah.
never going to not feel things that you're programmed to feel, and that and it's okay to feel the things, but as long as you can just still power through and still do the thing, I think that's the secret, right?
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of things I've been
That
reading
sounds
are like,
like it is.
yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds good. Yeah.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
And also we drink. No, but and then there's drinks. But no, actually, strangely though, like, I don't even drink during the week anymore. Um, that's what the pandemic has done, because I was like, wow, I'm drinking more than I'd like to. So yeah, it's just finding like little ways to carve out time to do stuff too. Like, I started journaling again, which is nice,
Mm.
and just making time to exercise whenever I can, which was never really a priority. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do that. But now I'm like, no, someone's gonna die if I don't if I don't ride the Peloton. Someone's going to die. So yeah, yeah, whatever works.
Love it.
It's a great lead in.
Oh
so
boy.
going so going off of that, what would you say to someone who might be feeling overwhelmed by balancing work and their side projects, especially in the middle of the pandemic?
Uh, I've learned to say no a lot during the pandemic. I've always been guilty of just saying yes to everything. And I've learned that we had all these commitments and requirements, and then everything just stopped, and it was
Right.
okay. like nothing blew up. So I've learned to just say, yeah, no, thanks. I don't want to do that. In a nice way, of course. So prioritizing what's really important, taking a step back and saying, do I really need to serve on this committee? Or if I do serve on this committee, am I going to be able to do it justice? Because am I going to have enough time and mental capacity? Or do I have time to sing on this person's project? Or, you know what I mean? Like you just have to kind of pause for a minute before running headlong into things. That's what I found is being helpful to me. And also just getting outside and just
Oh,
walking.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's been very helpful.
That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting too, because like you were saying, we have been spent, a lot of us have spent our lives with like a built-in structure of, okay, you get up, you get ready for the day, you commute to work, and then you
Mm-hmm.
come home, and then like you have that time to dedicate to your side projects or anything else. But now it's all woven together, and you
Mm-hmm.
just have to create those boundaries.
Yeah, you definitely do because everything's on all the time. Uh, I have always worked from home, so that part was not the adjustment. It's just really like feeling like everyone's reachable all the time now, and
Mm.
so that's been tricky. And then just allowing myself to not be available has been nice, and I think people respect that a lot more.
I think that's really interesting too, because like you said, you've always been working from home. So you've always had to feed your creativity and separate your work life with your
Mm-hmm.
creative life as well. But was that more difficult because everyone's on all the time now?
Um, no, not really. I mean, thankfully, because of my job. So, what I do for sure is something called market development, which is basically letting people know about the brand who aren't familiar with us, or for those who are, finding solutions to needs that they might have. And that during the pandemic has shifted to all virtual content as opposed to in person trainings or trade shows. So I'm always getting my hands on the gear, which I love. And so my studio is my office.
Mm.
And so I can just, noodle around for a minute with stuff as I'm testing audio levels. And that just kind of satiates the beast for a minute,
Wow.
and just lets me keep grounded. Like there's guitars on the wall behind me, there's a keyboard within reach, there's microphones everywhere. And so I can just, like start doing something. And that's been my biggest thing that took me 40 years to figure out is that I need a system to where I can pretty much just hit record and be ready to go. And so now I have that finally in my studio. And that's been the biggest kind of sanity saver.
Yeah, that's like a fully integrated life. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so
It's a
cool.
mess in
That's
here,
awesome.
but like I know what's what and where
Yeah.
things are.
Organized chaos, like any true creative,
Yes.
right? It's where it
Yes.
needs to be for you to be able to use it when you need to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. That's so cool. I think that I don't know, as I'm sitting here recording at my desk that also has a keyboard tray and my speakers and all, I that's like what I feel like is a really cool thing to I don't know, just think of and emulate a little bit for creatives that are also working in business or vice versa. That I think it's for me at least, I think it's really beautiful to not have those really rigid boundaries between your work and creative life if that's how your brain
Mhm.
works because yeah, you're right. You can when that inspiration strikes, you can just pull out your keyboard, plug it in and go. And your job, if you're in a job that supports that, is like, great, cool. Like as long as you don't need to be on a meeting right then, like that's
Right,
so cool.
exactly. I mean, I can't say that Shore is actually like, "Yeah, man, just jam out whenever." But
Yeah.
I mean, it thankfully doesn't strike in the middle of the day because I'm just too busy to do
Mhm.
something, but yeah, it's nice to know that if something does hit, like I can transition. I've done it before where I've transitioned right from the end of the workday at my desk and then turned to my other computer and gone live on Facebook, and just done like a Facebook happy hour because I had to just sing.
Yeah.
Had to just do something creative.
Oh.
So yeah, it doesn't usually happen right in the middle of the day, but it is nice to be able to do that and have that freedom and just have all kinds of toys and mics and stuff that I can test because that's part of my gig.
I love it. Do you think this question just popped in my head? Sorry to deviate again. Do you so I in thinking about the creative versus business side, I hear often that it's like it's important to have a job that doesn't use too much of your creative mind because then you can't be writing with it. And
Yeah.
I don't know, do you see that in your business slash creative side? Do you think like you're using different parts of your creative brain and so you're not poaching from the other? Or do you think or does that has that,
Oh,
been a thing for you?
that's interesting. I've never thought about it. What I've found that I love is doing like long-term strategy kind of planning,
Mhm.
which is not musical at all, but it's the only task I can really do in my job that requires me to sit still and focus and so I get to put on music and just zone out and zone in to what I'm working on, and that's been the most kind of like cerebrally satisfying thing for me to do because it's not yeah, I don't think it's robbing from my creativity to do what I do, but it's just using it. It's like a different muscle in your body, So just using it a little
Yeah.
differently.
Cool. I love that.
You're fueling Stephanie's soul tonight.
Yay!
It is. It really is.
Oh, that's awesome. I have no idea if any of this is accurate, but this is what works for me.
Feels like a thing. It feels like a
Okay.
thing.
Right
Well, and I
on.
think I just left, I was in a job that I loved. It was objectively a wonderful job, but it was really freaking me out. Like, it was very unstable and, like, it was so I wasn't able to, like and I was thinking, like, "Oh, it's using, like, a different" like you say, "different muscle of my creative mind because I was, like,
Yeah.
running a program, but at the same time, like, I think it's important for people maybe listening and thinking about this also to as they're thinking about that like it's also like the holistic experience of your job and if it leaves you enough mental bandwidth and space like to still feel creative because if it doesn't find a new day job because
Mhm.
that's not worth it so hopefully you can end up like Laura and have the best of both that can kind of feed each other. I think that's a cool thing to I don't know just to know it exists right like to not let yourself be stuck in a hole of something that's it's not keeping you from being able to live one side of your creative being, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Totally
awesome.
agree.
So, on that vein, and what would you say that you hope to see for the next generation that's entering the industry now?
Um, Gender equality. No,
Oh,
I'd like
yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see us no,
Yes.
I honestly, like, I say that, but what I want is to just not feel like a unicorn all the time,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
when you walk into the NAMM show, which honestly in the past several years has been great because I always say this to Laura Whitmore too from the women, is like, you'd go to NAMM 10 years ago, and it would always rock because there'd be no line for the ladies' room. And now, like, I see lines, and I'm like, "I take heart in that." Like, yes,
Wow.
things are changing. So, I don't know. I think I'd like to see just not being viewed as a woman in the industry, but just to be viewed as a person in the industry who's just kicking ass, you know?
Yes.
Um, what else? I don't know.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
What was
No, like there's no line for the ladies'
It's
Yes!
room.
processing.
It's legit, dude. I'm telling you, like, I would go and it'd be like the line for the men's room is like around the block, and the ladies' room just like la la la. This is the first time ever, and now I'm like, why are there all these ladies in here? But it's cool. So yeah, I mean, when they're entering the industry, is just to remember to stay humble too,
Mm.
like just learn and be a sponge, especially if you're just coming into it, because like this generation has access to so much more information than any of us ever have, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Because when you go into a job, you think you already know all these things. And it's like, just listen for a minute,
Mhm.
get into the gig, get into the industry, and just soak it all up and listen. And then when it's your turn, step up.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's my advice. I don't know.
I love it.
What would this career era Laura say to the Laura on her first day of her first job?
Which job? Like when I worked in the drugstore when I was 16, or like my
Yeah, I was trying to differentiate when I was writing this question. I was like, no, literally that one,
That one.
because like I was working in an aquarium and like I would have loved to be like, you'll end up where you want to be eventually.
Okay. All right.
I was a
Yeah.
hostess at a restaurant.
Go back to the drugstore.
Yeah. That was
Yes.
my first job, was working at like an old school drugstore that used to be a soda fountain. Like it wasn't in
Oh
my
my
time. But like,
gosh.
yeah, like one of those drugstores that like still delivered medication to people. Although CVS does that now. But you know what I mean? Like it was it was legit. And so yeah, I would tell myself to just practice more. Like,
Mm.
respect the time that you actually have, because you're not going to have any of it when you want it, even though your parents tell you this and you don't believe them. And then, yeah, just don't worry so much about trying to get to that place where you think you're trying to go. Like, just enjoy the ride.
I love it.
That's been my best.
Stephanie's.
Just clapping over here.
I get applause. Yes. Oh, sweet.
You can't see me bow before you, but I'm bowing.
Stop.
That's dumb.
No, that's crazy. My kids would be like, "What? Oh man,
Your mom's cool. You guys stop.
they're pretty rad. My daughters are pretty rad.
Oh.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Laura,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us and chatting about your career and your creative side. And we just really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us.
Well, thanks for inviting me to be here. This is so cool. I'm feeling very honored to be a smart woman in music. A swart.
A swart woman in music.
Good Lord, you can't take me anywhere. You know what I mean? To be a swim
Yeah.
master.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Yes. Too
Thanks,
cool.
Laura.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Swim Masters. Don't forget to follow us on social media, including Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, to stay up to date on all new things swim. We'd love it if you'd share and leave us a review. If you would like to learn more, please visit www.smartwomeninmusic.org. This episode was co-produced and edited by Stephanie Lamond and Natalie Morrison. See you next time.